Hello and welcome to episode 409 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is a very special guest. I'm joined by the actress Lorraine Bracco. You will know her for her absolutely amazing performance as Jennifer in the incredible Sopranos. She also played the role of Karen in the Martin Scorsese masterpiece Goodfellas. And on today's episode, we also get to talk about her latest film, Monster Summer, which is out now. The interview is amazing, and I'm so lucky to be talking to an absolute legend, and the podcast will be coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. But as always, I use the intro for every episode to quickly touch base and talk about my last episode. It only came out a couple of days ago, but I was joined by Dave McPherson from the awesome band In Me. A huge thanks to Dave for sharing the episode, to In Me for also sharing it, and everybody that took the time to listen and leave feedback, because it was so good to see so many people enjoying this really deep and honest discussion with Dave. Now, before I give you the interview with Lorraine, what I do want to say is a massive thank you and a shout out to the sponsor of Mark and Me, Vice Press. If you're out there looking for some incredible licensed prints, go and visit vicepress.com and use the code MarkandMe10 to save 10% off your first purchase. They've got some beautiful prints from incredible artists, and it's all official and it's all licensed, so go and treat yourself. Right, let's get to the interview now, because this is an absolute legend. As a huge fan of Goodfellas, and I truly believe that The Sopranos is the greatest TV series of all time, so you can tell just how excited I am to say this. Here's me and Lorraine talking all things film and TV. Hi Lorraine.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for taking the time to join me today on the Mark and Me podcast. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
What I love to do, Lorraine, with all guests that come on, I've done over 400 episodes now, and I've had actors, directors, musicians, but I always like to know, when you were growing up as a kid, if you can remember that first film maybe you watched with a family member or watched at the cinema, but that first sort of experience of film that made you fall in love with cinema.
Yeah, The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, wow. Did you see it on the big screen at the time?
No, I don't think so. I think I saw it in on television.
I mean, it doesn't get much bigger, more colourful, more cinematic than The Wizard of Oz, really, does it? After that, I suppose nothing really lives up to it.
I agree. I mean, I'm thinking back now that you've asked me. I mean, it gave you everything. It gave you song and beauty and hope and scary and weather.
It's literally got something for everyone. And I take it at this age, you're quite young, you're a kid, you're watching it and thinking this is like a make-believe, like a dream come true.
Well, I think I was, probably jumped into either my mom or my dad's lap.
It's an absolute classic, and it's a hell of a foundation to build upon. But I suppose, did you know from a young age that you wanted to get into TV and film, or was it a bit later on? Were you going and studying at school and college thinking, that's definitely what I want to do? Or was it kind of a dream and more of a hobby?
Well, I mean, I wanted to be a model is what I wanted, because I was voted the ugliest girl in 6th grade.
That is so cruel.
Cruel. It was bitter. It was really rough. So I always wanted to be a model, and that eventually came true. And so that was, when I was, 13, 14, 15, that's what was my goal. And it wasn't until much, much later did I even think I could possibly be an actor.
Did your family support your decision when you said you want to be a model and you want to be an actor? Were they like, you go, girl, you can do this, we believe in you?
Yes.
Isn't that so important when some people turn around to their parents and say that, and they're like, well, you need to get a real job, to be honest. Like, that's never going to happen.
You need the backup.
That's amazing to hear that you had that. And what was it like?
They were very supportive, yes.
What was it like when you became a model and were able to kind of say, screw you to all those people that used to be awful and bully you and make fun of you. It must have been like the best way to say, well, look who's laughing now.
Well, I don't think I saw anybody or said anything, but it made me feel good,
Well, that's good, and that's all that matters. Now,
made me feel worthwhile.
exactly. If people are listening today, they will literally go crazy at me if I do not talk to you about working with Martin Scorsese on the absolute masterpiece, Goodfellas. And as a supporting actress that just blew everyone away, I wondered what was it to try and sum up with words like at that time to work with such a genius on now such an iconic film.
Right. Well, let's put it this way. You go where you read a script. I read the book. I read the script, and you don't know when you walk onto a set or take a role what's going to happen.
No.
It there's no rhyme or reason sometimes in in uh in in reading a good script and making a great movie. I mean, we didn't know. We just did the best we could. We brought our A game, all of us, and helped each other and worked with each other and had great rehearsal time. Marty knows how to make a movie.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty fair to say.
and that was our guiding light to every scene that Ray and I did. I mean, I can only really speak for him and I, because I didn't work so much with everybody else, but he was the guiding light to those scenes. We had rehearsal, which nowadays, if you have a half hour of rehearsal, it's a miracle. Um, and it's so important because you get to go home that night and think about, oh, I could move here, I could do that, I could bring this prop in. I mean, it's countless uh, uh, um, amounts of imagination you have when you've had a true rehearsal process. It's unbelievable, the difference. Um, Even though sometimes you do go home and say, "Oh, I should have done this. I should have said that." We have. I think all actors have that, but he's a fantastic filmmaker, and we were just put in his vision.
It's a nice way to put it. And I know obviously at the time when you're filming it, you never know how it's going to go. It could flop, it could be absolutely a huge success. But now reflecting, it must be amazing to look back and know you're part of that kind of cinematic history, because this is a film that stands the test of time, that is always referenced and talked about, and you played a key role in that. And I think it must be absolutely amazing to know that you were part of that.
I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful I had that experience. Grateful that I had Ray Liotta to play against. I'm grateful for that. That was fun. I always say, and I've always told my kids, oh, if you want to become a good tennis player or a good basketball player, make sure everybody around you is better than you.
It's good advice.
So I feel that way about actors.
My genuine hand on heart favorite TV series of all time is The Sopranos. I was absolutely obsessed with it and was gutted when it ended, but obviously good things can't last forever. And to be again, it must be strange because now we can look in hindsight and look back and think that's one of the most successful TV series of all time. But during the filming of it, again, it must have been absolutely incredible. The cast, the production, the director, it must have never felt like work. It must have been an incredible experience.
Well, I'm sure it felt like work for Jimmy Gandolfini. I promise you that.
Yeah.
he worked like a dog, and I think it was a very hard role for him because he was nothing like Tony Soprano. Um, but yeah, for me, it was a fantastic role. I worked one day an episode, uh, and I got to work with Jimmy, and that was absolutely fantastic. He was fantastic to watch.
Do you feel that whatever film school you go to, whatever you read, nothing will ever give you the experience than watching a great like that in the flesh in front of you? I'm sure you can learn more from just watching a performance like that every day than any book in the world.
Well, you know, a lot of hard work went into him making that role.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just come naturally. And he worked at it. He learned. He studied for years and worked for years on different roles. And I always loved the story about Jimmy when he went into audition and he didn't like what he was doing, and he got up and he left. He said, "No, I have to come back. If I can. This was wrong." And he
How
came back.
crazy.
He came back and brought Tony Soprano to the reading. So it doesn't just, you don't just, you know you have to create it, you have to make it, you have to work at it, you have to understand it, you have to study it. Acting is not easy.
No. Did you? I've spoken to a lot of actors and actresses in my time, and it amazes me how many people don't watch their work back. Some people are just not happy to be involved and watch it back because they're so critical of their own work. And I wondered, did you watch all of Sopranos back and enjoy it, or were you unable to kind of break away from yourself in it? Were you able to enjoy it, or was it too personal?
Well, I didn't watch all the episodes,
No?
so that's number one. I did watch some of the episodes, but it's not something uh I I I do often. Or I mean, I saw Goodfellas 20 years later.
Wow. Please tell me you enjoyed it.
I did. I didn't realize how funny it was.
And right now, as we sit here today, obviously we're promoting Monster Summer, and I wondered
Yes.
how this role came about for you. Was a script sent to you? Was it through an agent?
Yes.
Was it the usual
Yeah, they
process?
yeah, at this point they just send a script and an offer, which is great. But I loved the reminiscent of movies that I took my children to,
Yeah.
E.T. and Sandlot and all of those great movies with kids on bikes in the summer playing baseball, uh, uh, being kids, and then of course the unexpected comes, which I love. I always loved that, and I think that they were able to recreate that mystery and scary and exciting and familiarness of summer.
I think you've nailed it on the head there when you're talking about the films that it made me think of, because I grew up as an 80s kid, so I grew up with stuff like Stand By Me,
Stand by
E.T.,
Me, yeah,
yeah,
sure.
E.T., Gremlins, Goonies, all
Gremlins,
these really good
absolutely.
adventure films. And
Yeah,
do you know what? It's
yeah.
important to have,
Goonies,
oh, absolute classic. And it's really important to have these kind of good horror films for kind of 10 to 12-year olds, not too terrifying,
right,
around those kind of like goosebumps and all those kind of
right,
things. And it was so refreshing when I watched it to kind of feel like I remember being the kid that went to a video shop, rented out something like the ones I've
right.
mentioned, and having those
Ex-
feelings again.
and that is the reason why I really liked the script and I really wanted to do it. besides the fact I love Mel Gibson.
I mean, that must have been amazing because obviously he went away. He wasn't in many films for a while, but then he came back and he's had a resurgence. And some of my favorite films are like Lethal Weapon.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love Signs, and I think he's an incredible talent. And I wondered what it was like with him on set. Did you get much time to kind of just chat and get to know each
Ve-
other?
very sadly, I'd met Mel before, but we did not work together, and I did not see him on the set.
Oh,
But I love him.
but you still love him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think he's a fantastic director.
Oh, incredible. And as we're sitting here, what's the kind of next couple of years looking like? Are you kind of actively out there now, looking for more, reading
Oh,
more
I
scripts,
have
and
such a fun movie coming out on Netflix. It's called Nornas, and
Nornas?
Nornas, Nonna. It's grandma in Italian, and
Oh,
it's a
amazing.
true story with Vince Vaughn, and it's adorable. I love it.
I love Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, it's adorable. It's an adorable movie, and it's a true story. So there's that. Yeah, there's things. There's always things popping up, which is fun. But otherwise, I'm loving being a grandmother.
I mean, that's good as well, having time away from the movies and actually doing normal stuff in life.
Yeah, it's great fun.
One
It's
thing,
great.
one thing I was going to ask is obviously after working in the industry for a few decades and having an incredible journey with so many different roles, there are a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are trying to get into the world of film. I know it's difficult. It's a tough world, but when you've worked with people like Robert Zemeckis and you've worked with Martin Scorsese and all these incredible people, is there any advice that you could give to the listeners about getting into the industry? Because it's so hard, isn't it, to be seen in such a busy world?
No, it is. It's not. Look, you if it has to be something that just propels you to do nothing else, and you have to study.
Yeah,
Take Stella Adler's class, the script interpretation class. Robert De Niro made me do that, and and it has been a base of most of the characters I've ever created. Got to read. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to be an actor," and my first question is, "Well, do you like to read?" And they say no. I said, "Well, then it's not a business for you."
I think that's really important because I understand that times change and people nowadays are very quick to want stuff and then be very dismissive. So you listen to music on a device like a phone now and get rid of it, and books are all very short and people's attention span is a lot shorter. People don't want big, long, epic films anymore. People just want this kind of TikTok generation. And I wondered, that is such an important thing to say that unless you're enjoying reading and long scripts and stories, it's not really for you, is it?
Well, how are you going to tell them if you don't enjoy them?
Yeah, exactly that.
How are you going to be a character in, you know, in a movie if you've not read, if you're not well read? I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You know, people, I want to be a star. Well, good luck to you.
There's a difference of being a star, though, isn't there, and being a good actor.
And by the way, when I was studying, I always said to myself, I just want to be good. I want to be a good actor. And I feel I've been lucky enough to land roles that allowed me to do that, to tell women's stories.
I think you've been able to do that, and you should do it with pride, and you can look back and at least say you've done that.
Yeah, you know, but um, breaking into this business is very difficult. I want to not discourage anyone because you have to follow your dreams and your gut and your instincts. but it is definitely not for the faint-hearted.
My final question, because obviously I'm conscious of time and we have a limit, but what I do with all guests that come on, and I'm really interested in your answer, is we get to choose a song. So as the interview's all edited, ready for the world to listen to, there'll be a piece of music that plays after our interview today. And the good thing is you get to select the song that's played, and it can be any piece of music or song that means something to you. And when I ask you today, I know there's a lot of songs in the world and there's a lot to choose from, but is there a song that came to your heart that you would love to be played today?
Ave Maria.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty epic to end an episode with. I think people will be not ready for that.
Yeah, that speaks to me.
It's an epic, epic song and piece of music. So I really do appreciate you coming on today, and good luck with the release of the film. And thank you so much for your time. It means a lot.
It kind of goes with The Wizard of Oz.
I was about to say we've been on a full sort of 360 journey today.
All right.
Good luck with the rest of the press, and thank you again for your time today. And I really do appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Mark. You're lovely.
Thank you. Take care of yourself.
You too. Bye, love.
Bye now. So there it is. There's my interview with me and Lorraine. How great was she? Absolute Hollywood royalty, one of the most iconic TV series of all time, getting to work with Martin Scorsese on the masterpiece Goodfellas. What a career, and it was so good to talk about her brand new film Monster Summer, which is out now. I want to say a massive thanks to Lorraine for coming on the podcast. It really means the world, and I'm so proud to be able to say that I've been able to sit down and interview you for Mark and me. If you've enjoyed today's episode and you're listening at home, please take the time just to share the episode. So many people out there love Sopranos and so many people love Goodfellas. So if you share this and they suddenly see that Lorraine's been on Mark and Me, the next thing you know, they go and tune in and they might subscribe and be a listener for life. And that's all I can ask for you guys. I will never charge for episodes, and I really appreciate every share. I do also have a Patreon account. If you sign up now, and I'm literally talking now, you're going to receive a Christmas bundle prize from me, which some people are starting to get as you're listening to this. And I honestly guarantee that you'll get so much for your money for signing up. You get a welcome pack, which includes a sticker. You also get a badge. You get monthly newsletters and so much more. And all the money that goes in via Patreon goes right back into the production of the podcast. So I really do appreciate it. Before I go, I want to give another shout out to a sponsor of the podcast, Richer Sounds. Without those guys, I couldn't do this podcast. So if you're in the market for anything to do with audio and visual, especially a brand new TV or Blu-ray player or 4K player, go and visit any of their high street stores or check out the website richersounds.com. Right, I'll be back in only a couple of days' time with another brand new episode. So until then, look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
Schloss